Yeah, I find it pretty interesting how so many people that had success in Big Brother are having poker success. So maybe you're right with the strategy.
It was, for sure. Well, it was weird. The thing for me was me and Arlie were actually watching season 3 when Kevin Martin was on it. So Kevin got on, and his title was professional poker player. So Arlie looked at me and he said, John, if Kevin is really a professional poker player, I will be as well by this time next year. This time next year comes, Arlie's a pro. And I'm just like, listen, if this dummy can do it, I'm for sure in.
That's amazing. Welcome to episode 7 of All In with Colin. I am your host, Colin Capone. Thank you for being here. Today I have a great show for you. I got a hat trick of ACR team pros on the show for you. That's right, you're going to hear from Jon Pardy, Drew Gonzalez, and Michael Loncar. Initially, the plan was to go 15 minutes with each of them, but it was basically impossible. We had too much to discuss, so this episode will be a lot longer than normal, but I think you'll really enjoy it. But first, let's kick the show off with some shoutouts to people who recently found success online or live. Jeff Tolbert had his biggest score ever for over 8K in a Tulsa Run Good main event. Chevo hopped in his first ever 2-5 cash game at Riverside Casino in Iowa. He bought in for $500 and cashed out for $3K. Chris Pennywoo 83 turned a $20 deposit a year ago into over a $1,000 profit in online MTTs in the year. Sam Dobbins, he started reading books and learning last April. He made his first final table and got his first 4-figure score in an APT tour a few weeks ago. Almost 1 day to reading his first book about poker. Let's go. If you want a shout out, hit me up on Twitter at Poker Capone or leave me a message on Spotify. All right, my next guest is a fellow Canadian who won Big Brother Canada Season 2. He was a member of the Thirst Lounge 10. He's a former hockey player who used to crush his opponents on the ice, but now he crushes them on the felt. A current ACR team pro who streams on Twitch, and he even ran a mile in 6 minutes. I am pleased to welcome Jon Pardy to the show. Jon, welcome to All In with Colin. How are you?
My guy, I am good. I'm excited. I've been following the All In with Colin podcast here, the Twitter updates and everything. So I'm excited to be in the hot seat here today.
Oh, awesome. I appreciate it. So yeah, you literally just got back from Costa Rica today, I think, right? How was that?
Just got back. And like I said a minute ago, I would say fresh off the trip, but we're definitely not feeling very fresh. That was a long, fun 4 days. But it was so good to be down there to see the inner workings of the ACR family. And when I say family, I mean everyone from the customer service group to the team pros to the dev team. We got to meet them all, and it was an amazing experience, and definitely makes me feel a lot more family-esque with the entire company. So it was really awesome.
So it was like everybody was there, everybody affiliated pretty much?
Every single person. So it was, like I said, met the customer service people who we talked to almost on a daily basis, got to put faces to those names. The dev teams got to put faces to those names. Everyone who was down there it was a pleasure. And like I said, super happy to put the faces to the names.
Oh, that's awesome. Was it for what else? Like, what were you guys? It was just overall general meetings, or was there a big?
Yeah, we have, can't speak too much about it, but we have some massive, and when I say massive, I mean like massive things coming in the next couple months out of ACR Poker. So everyone's going to love it. I don't even know. Okay. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome. Okay. I love it. All right. So you've done a lot. Like, I've been following you since I wasn't never, I'll be honest, I never really watched Big Brother.
Hey,
I watched Survivor a lot.
Either, so
Okay. But I know you won it, and I got interested in you when the Thirst Lounge happened. I really got into that. I watched it a lot. So, and I know, so you're into poker, you did the Big Brother, and you did hockey. So if you had to rank them all, which one requires the most strategy?
Oh, the most strategy. Well, if anyone watched my game, you know that strategy is not too involved in the poker side here yet. So we're I would say the most strategy is probably Big Brother. It's such a weird dynamic where you're playing that game 24/7 for 71 days. Every single word you say, people are going to hang on. You say the wrong word, it could be the end of your game. It got to the point where I was so invested in being there. The person I was working with had to sleep in the bed next to me to wake me up because I was talking strategy in my sleep.
Oh, wow.
So I used to get the elbow and be like, shut up.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty hardcore then.
We were entrenched. It becomes your whole reality. It becomes, you don't think about anything else but that game. There were times I was forgetting like my best friend's names because you're so far removed from the real world. It's the most mentally, emotionally draining thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow. Okay. Actually, when I think back, I said I wasn't really interested, but you know what? I did watch the first couple seasons of the American version back in the day. So I do know the show.
They were wild seasons.
Yeah, those are pretty crazy. So yeah. I rember, all the
Dr. Will days and stuff. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. All right. So how often do you relive the moment of winning it, like in your head?
I don't relive it too often. Walking on that stage after winning was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. Just the energy, having my family there, how excited and proud they were. I think about that moment mostly when I run into people who are like, "Holy shit! Like you're Jon Pardy from Big Brother," and I'm just like, "Holy shit! I am still that guy. Like that is still it, right?"
That's awesome.
So that's when I think about it the most. Outside of that, I've definitely moved on in my life with some, obviously, the poker and the content creation, that kind of stuff. So it comes, I think, a little less than a lot of people who were on the show, though.
Okay. Are you still friends with many people from the show?
It's a weird dynamic. When you come off that show, you kind of feel like, wow, there's not many people who just experience what I experienced. So you kind of find that very common ground with people. You eventually realize that all these people are not really friends. They were people who just shared a similar experience. I did, however, take out some amazing friends, like obviously Kevin and Arlie and a bunch of people from my season. So I would say for my season, I'm friends with more people than I'm not. But then with other seasons, it's very handpicked who I keep in my circle.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I find it pretty interesting how so many people that had success in Big Brother are having poker success. So maybe you're right with the strategy.
It was, for sure. Well, it was weird. The thing for me was me and Arlie were actually watching season 3 when Kevin Martin was on it. So Kevin got on, and his title was professional poker player. So Arlie looked at me and he said, "John, if Kevin is really a professional poker player, I will be as well by this time next year." This time next year comes, Arlie's a pro. And I'm just like, listen, if this dummy can do it, I'm for sure in.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. So hockey, I remember when you were on Thirst Lounge, I was looking up your stats, and I think you got an assist, or you were on a team, the Rimouski Oceanic. That's where Sidney Crosby played a couple years before. But
we had a stacked team.
Michael Frolik, right?
That was with the assist. We were, he shot the puck. It hit my shin pad. It went back onto his tape. He put it in, and that was my that's my assist in the queue.
Nice.
I wish it was a flashier story, but that was it.
That's still pretty cool. I mean, so Sidney Crosby played there. So how often did you guys hear his name, or was that just something you guys looked up to?
He's a legend. He is a legend, and he actually was at our training camps. He came to our training camps before he went to the Pittsburgh camps. So there was one morning, it was just after making the team. I had been selected as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old. I can't quite remember how old it was, but it was 16 or 17. And it was 6 a.m. practice, and the coach said, "Okay, before you go on the ice, I want everyone to just go on to the bench and sit down before we hit the ice." I went out, and the rink was packed, and I was like, "Whoa, I've made it! This is the coolest thing like ever." Our morning practices were there was nobody ever there. 6 a.m. practice from there forward. But next thing you see, the cameras are flashing, the whole place is going nuts, and out comes Sid from the corner, does a little victory lap to the fans, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, we had a couple like Ryan Clough, and a couple of those boys were there too. So it was really cool just to skate on the same ice as him, and even get to pick his brain a little bit about how he operates. And trust me, he operates, eats, sleeps, breathes hockey.
That is
awesome.
It. Yeah, and sitting in the same dressing room that he was in.
I'll never forget. And this might sound a little bit weird talking about Sid taking his clothes off and stuff, but watch this man get undressed in the dressing room, and his legs were almost the size of my torso. Like his legs were like, people say like, oh, your legs are like tree trunks. His legs were literally like massive tree trunks. I couldn't get over it.
Wow, that's crazy. So
we'd practice for 2 hours and he'd be in the gym for like 3 after. I'd be like, I don't know, I might not have it, man.
That's insane. And then you had some injuries, so that kind of derailed you up there, right?
We had, I fought more than I played, so I was the enforcer on every team I was on from junior on. And I had 2 shoulder surgeries on my right, and then when I signed my first pro contract, I went down in my first fight again. It dislocated once again, so I couldn't get any doctor. I tried multiple doctors, but no doctor would clear me to play without another reconstructive surgery. And at that time, fighting was kind of getting out of the game. I knew how difficult it was on me mentally going through 2 surgeries, 8-month recovery. It was brutal, and it just wasn't something at that time that I was willing to go through again.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice there.
I hope.
So you've been traveling.
I could have been in the show right now, just zipping it.
I can't imagine how many penalties you'd be getting, because like I watched the Oilers game yesterday, and it's ridiculous.
Unbelievable. The game is so different from when I was coming up through. We had bench brawl every second or third game. People were squaring off. Start of almost every game. It was the old school, the end of the old school hockey when I was coming up through.
Yesterday in the game, I don't know if you got to see it, but so McDavid scores, and then Draisaitl just after he just taps Doughty, right?
I couldn't believe it. And then they score 18 seconds into the power play or something.
And then in overtime, it's so inconsistent. So in overtime, like the guy's basically sitting on McDavid after taking him out. Nothing. Yamamoto gets his stick slashed out, goes flying in the air, and then the inconsistency of the reffing in that game. I don't think I've seen anything like it in a while. So you did get to watch the game then?
I got to watch it till about, I'd say I fell asleep around the third period is when I dozed off. So I missed the overtime, but I watched the slash and I was just like, this is insane. Wow. We used to do a lot crazier shit and we never got 2 minutes.
Being a hockey fan in Newfoundland must have been tough if you were a fan of the West Coast teams, right? Like because
we had in Newfoundland, there's pretty much 2 teams. Well, there's 3 now because Michael Ryder went and played with Boston a little bit. But it's Toronto or Montreal. Like those are the 2, and this is blue and red, like our whole province. So
where do you fit?
I'm a Toronto fan. Unfortunately, right now, after game 1-2, I was like, here we go again.
Exactly.
Another. But they put on a good show. So I'm excited for the game. I'm excited for game 3 tonight. It's going to be nice to watch it with the old man here. I'm back for about 72 hours before I hit the road again. So it'll be a nice little father-son time tonight.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that should be a Saturday night game. That's awesome. Okay,
the best nights, the best games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which way it goes because you have no idea.
For sure. And Tampa is going to be bumping tonight.
100%. All right, so let's go back to the Thirst Lounge. I remember watching your audition video, and you made it on the show. So when you arrived at the Thirst Lounge on the island, so who did you become friends with? Did you hit it off with anyone quickly?
Drew. Immediately, which you wouldn't really expect. Me and Drew are literal we're polar opposites. Like we are very different guys. The whole time, like the first week, I was like, ba, 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 ba. And Drew was sitting like in the corner with his backpack on, like taking everything in. So I was kind of very intrigued by Drew. We had a few conversations and realized that we were both kind of in a similar spot in life at that moment. The Thirst Lounge was a massive opportunity for me and him. So we kind of made a pact that we were going to do everything we could for each other to make this a very successful and well delivered opportunity.
Just from watching it, like I don't know if you got this vibe, but so like when I watched it, I expected there to be lots of just lying around at the beach having fun, but it was a grind. It seemed like it was a grind, like a lot of stress, a lot of grind.
Perky made it very clear. Now listen, when we signed up, we had no idea what it was. Perkins was like, "Come down for." We had no idea how long. You got a boat, you got a house, and I was just like, that sounds cool. I was like, no matter how long I have a boat in a house, having a boat in a house sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So we were at a pretty low time in our life as well. So it was an opportunity that came at an amazing time. Took me out of a very dark place. But when we got there, Perkins was he was very adamant with, he had two kind of ways about him where it was like, make them, okay, this is how he did it. He was like, this is your opportunity. You guys make the most of it. And we were just like, fuck, he's giving us so much leeway. Like, what do we fucking do? So some people, I think, kind of used it as like, kind of a vacation, kind of a laxy daisy kind of year where they didn't have many responsibilities, and others saw it as an opportunity to really grow, not even as people, but our brands as well, and network within the poker community, and use the resources that Bill had for us there. So it definitely wasn't sitting on the beach and chilling. Like, we woke up every morning and most of us really got to work.
Yeah, you did, and I know for a lot of you, like, the poker wasn't going good, so it was
poker's still not going good, Colin. We're
you know what? Watching your streams, like you take a beat very personally, and you've had a lot of them where like big spots they just haven't went your way. So you're long overdue for to go on the right side.
I hope so, but we're also working with, I work with a mental coach twice a week and a therapist. Bi-weekly, they interchange. So I'm with someone every week. And what we're working on is like the detrimental programming of like when things went wrong in hockey, and hockey was my whole life. I could use bursts of anger or bursts of intensity, or it would be a positive thing. Like in a game, I could go like, so something goes wrong. Cool. I can go beat someone's ass. And that internal rage after taking a loss or something going wrong is still very, very real for me internally. So we're kind of working on different mechanisms and different things where we're not having that intense initial reaction to losing, because poker, this is the first time where I've used my mind for things. You know what I mean? Like my whole life, it's been very physical and I use my body to get by. So the transition, even now, still 4.5 years in, I don't think I really focused on it too much the first year, 2 years, maybe the third year, where I was kind of like, oh God, like this is not going to serve me very well if I want longevity in this industry. So we're putting a lot of work into it, but trust, it definitely still there.
So if you could go back, if there were one flip, like was there a big spot where you still think, oh man, if that would have held, or if I could have won that flip, just one hand?
Deep in the Venom, there's two. Deep in the Venom, I lost kings to king queen. They ran out straight, and that took me a long time to get over. And then we were day 3 of the Millie Maker. It was the first orbit of day 3. I got kings and ran them into aces, all in pre. And I was the sadness of walking away from that table. Because you get kings, you're like, oh my God, there's only like 103 people left. Like, this is going to be like, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
And then the guy had me covered, just wakes up with aces, and I was like, this is devastating.
Yeah. And it's crazy in poker how the beats stay with you, right? Like if you just get in with kings or queens, you never think about that hand again.
Never. Because I think that's kind of human nature too, like you look at like Twitter comments and stuff, you get 95 positive comments, but those 2 negative comments are the ones that are really going to mess with your mind. So I think that's like a human nature kind of thing.
That's true.
Okay, which is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. You may have not had the success you wanted on the island, but definitely it carried over afterwards.
For sure. It was everything just kind of, it was like a perfect storm, is what I say. After, when I was down in Thirst Lounge, the first time I played the Venom was my biggest buy-in I've ever had. We had an unbelievable run. I think we got like 67th or something for like 16, 17K. And at that point in my life, it was like, oh my God, like this is unbelievable. So Brandon, the producer, came over with the phone. He's like, there's someone on the phone that wants to talk to you. And he was like, hey, what's up, John? It's me, Phil Nagy. And I looked around and I was like, fuck, I have no idea who Phil Nagy is. Like, no idea. He goes, I'm the CEO of ACR. And I was like, oh, like that's so crazy. And he's like, I'm flying you down to the Cage next week in Costa Rica. So I ended up going to the Cage. I think Train went to the Cage a couple times. Drew ended up going to the Cage. And he took a liking to us, I believe. So we worked closely with ACR. We did some cool projects and stuff like the Triple Threat, and we worked on some other behind the scenes projects. And in those was Ebony as well. So when we were kind of thinking about our next step, we were kind of talking to Phil about our next step, and his response was, well, your next step is with us. And I was like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
So it's a very... Yeah. Ebony is great. You know what I mean? Great ambassador for the game, great ambassador for minorities, for women. Everything she stands for, I think, is very beneficial to the game of poker when it comes to inclusivity. So definitely a big fan of what she brings to the table, what she brings to the team, and just kind of how she lives her life.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really loved watching her journey, and then when she got to go play Triton, and
oh man, talk about a perfect storm. I was home watching and I couldn't believe what was happening. Like, imagine how much she couldn't believe it. I was like, there is no way she her cashing 200Ks, like final table, and 100Ks. Like, this is nuts.
Yeah, that is incredible. I love that. She
put a lot of work. I remember that though, because she teamed up with Chip Leader Coaching with Chance and Alex. So they did a bunch of prep before. I think she also was with Jason Sue, I believe his name is, the mental coach on Twitter as well. He has an amazing Twitter if people haven't checked it out. But she put in a lot of time, so it was really cool to see the fruits of the labor kind of pay off.
Yeah, that's definitely seems like just like a great person. So that was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You know, when good things happen to good people, it's an exciting thing to watch.
Yeah, and it seems like that ACR is trying to make more of that happen, like with the Weasel going over to play the 100K.
Amazing. The biggest thing that I realized from ACR while I was down there is, one, they operate that business like a family. Everyone is equal from their offices are all together. You could be Phil, the CEO, and you could be, they call them, oh God, they're like wranglers, kind of like assistants to each department kind of thing, to make sure everything's running smoothly, make everyone's job easier. It could be Phil sitting next to a wrangler, sitting next to a dev intern. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very family based, everyone's equal company. And the other thing I realized, I knew this before, but it was just kind of reassured what I already thought and knew. They're here to grow the game. They're here for the players, and they want the ecosystem to be fun and fair. Like that's all they want. They want big things. They want big personalities, big games. And I think with other companies, can go very corporate. And when you go very corporate, you kind of lose sight of, why did we start this? Why are we here? Like, what's our purpose? And their purpose now, even as much as they've grown the past 5 or 10 years, they have stayed loyal to their motto of they're here for the players.
That's awesome. And I've heard Chris Moneymaker say a similar thing, and it reminds him of when PokerStars was newer.
Exactly. And Phil was very, very, very adamant the entire time, with no matter how big they grew, this mindset was never going to change.
That's awesome. Now, personally, like back in the day, I remember always thinking, okay, ACR, not regulated, and it seemed a little bit, not sketchy, but for sure, scary, right?
They got a bad rep. They got a bad rep for sure. And I think that's one of the biggest things now. They've made mistakes. ACR has for sure made mistakes. They've been, the Joey Ingram era, where Joey was after them for like 3 years. Sure. You know what I mean? That wasn't a good time for the company. Like, you know what I mean? They were getting a lot of backlash. I think the reputation kind of got tarnished there. And anytime a big reputation gets tarnished, it takes a lot of time and a lot of manpower to fix that image, to change the image. So that's one of the biggest things ACR is trying to do now, is to build themselves to a company where they have big integrity, to a company where everything they're doing, you can feel safe in the security of the site. You can feel safe about your funds. Their withdrawals are the quickest, you know what I mean, on any site. And the reason being is because they do due diligence about their withdrawals and how people are managing their money before withdrawals go out. They don't have to take the 7 days to say, oh, this money came from here and this player there and that player, you know what I mean, to get your money. So there's a lot of things, like meeting with the security department was amazing for me, a guy who was kind of newer to the online streets. The steps that they take and the pride that they take in their job and the people that they're hiring now to put in place. I don't think it'll be long before the ACR reputation of the past will be the past.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really good to hear. A couple more questions for you. So Chris Robinson on Twitter, he asked, what is the biggest differentiator for ACR on the online poker market?
I think it's what we were just talking about, and I think it has to be their focus on the players and their focus on having fun. They want ACR to be a spot where people can play whatever stakes you want. You can have fun. You can be assured that you're not being cheated. And again, online poker, RTA is a problem. You know what I mean? Everywhere. Hearing some of the things that ACR has planned and is doing right now to combat that, I think that within the next 6 to 8 months, we will be hands down the most secure site to play on in the world.
Awesome.
So I think again, and I also think that they're always changing, always growing, even things they don't have to. You get too corporate, like you're like, we don't need to change that. We can take our rake up to 40% or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
ACR, they have no interest in doing those things that will ever hurt the players ever.
Awesome. Okay, a couple more questions. Flow Junkie wants to know if you could run a marathon against Drew and Rob Kuhn, who would win?
Me, 100%. I don't even know why Rob's in that conversation. Flow.
And I want to know, there was a guy on the Thirst Lounge TL10 who I've never heard from after Voice Lab. Is he buried on the island? Do you guys have a story? If something happened,
we just
Lord
left him there. He never got off.
Yeah.
It's Voicey kind of went back. I think after the Thirst Lounge, Voicey kind of realized that poker wasn't for him. He went on. He had a girlfriend, I believe, is now his fiance. I don't hear from Voicelab often. He checks in every now and again. But I have a lot of love for that guy, and I think there's something powerful in realizing something isn't for you, and taking steps to go different routes. So, where is Voicelab right now? I would not be able to tell you what he's doing. Would not be able to tell you, but it's not poker.
Okay. Well, as long as he's not buried on the island. That's good.
He's alive. I'm pretty sure he's alive. As of 3 months ago, he was alive.
Awesome. Yeah, because I liked him. And yeah, you're right. If he decided, you know what, this isn't for me, I'm going to do something else. Good for him, right? Heck
yeah. I'm proud of him. It was people who weren't really deep into the poker world. The Thirst Lounge was eye-opening. It's either, oh God, like I think I can do this, or oh God, I really don't think I can do this.
And speaking of, I think I can do this, when you personally put your mind to something, like you declared you're going to run a mile in 6 minutes, and everyone said, yeah, right. You're 260 pounds. It's not going to happen.
I don't know why. I have no idea why I was so confident. Doesn't make any sense.
And you did it, and it was insane.
It was just so crazy where it was just a weird series where Perkins put it out to Dan Bilzerian on Twitter, and he was going to give him like 4 months to train or something. And I was like, that is insane. I was like, I will do that tomorrow. And Train was like, $100, not a chance. And I was like, done, $100. Matty was like $100. Then Casey was like $100. And then Bill heard, and he's like 15 to 1. So I ran up. I had like probably $250 to my name at that point. And I ran it up to about my $890 to their like, I think it was like, what was it, like 9,000, something like that.
Nice.
So I went to Drew and I was like, just so you know, if I do lose this, I'm going to need like $600.
That's awesome. But you didn't lose, you won.
I did. What's crazy is I ran it in, it was like 5 minutes, 59 seconds, and 87 milliseconds. Every single person, there was like 5 different stopwatches. Every single person had 5:59 and different milliseconds. Nobody had 6. And then we checked, we had a consistent drone going too, and that was the final time, like 5:59.87 or something.
That's like that. Insane. Wow.
Imagine how different things would have been if like a half a second the other way.
Yeah, that would have been the bubble story that you would have had earlier.
Well, yeah, no, I would not have forgot that one ever. No matter how much therapy we have, that would have been a
But you didn't do it, you crushed it. Hey man, I think I could talk to you for hours. But we're doing a quick bit of a rapid fire. I got Drew next coming up in 3 minutes here.
That's going to be a fun one.
So
we'll have to do this again. We'll have to do a long form. I would love that.
Yeah, I think I can talk to you for a while. I really enjoyed this. I appreciate it. And I want to see some big things from you, and looking forward. Are you going to what's next for you? What are you playing? You said you're heading out on Monday.
We leave on Monday. I'm heading down to the Lodge to play some live streams there and to play their championship series. And then I'm heading to Florida with Mr. Moneymaker for the first stop of the Moneymaker Tour. So I'm so excited about the Moneymaker Tour. I think he's going to turn this into a really, really, we already did back when he was with Stars. You know what I mean? I think with the resources he has now, it's going to be bigger, better where poker is. I'm just so excited to follow this tour for the next little while. And
I think it's going to be crushed. I think it's going to be awesome. So I'll look for you on those live streams. Crush it, John, and we'll do this again soon.
My friend Colin, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, man. All right, and now it's time for my tournament of the week. This is a high-value tournament I think we should all be playing. For this week, I'm recommending the Global Millions on GG Poker. It is a $50 buy-in with an enormous $1 million guarantee. How it works is you play a day one, and once the field is down to 12%, it ends and you carry your chip stack into the final day two, which is on Sunday, April 30th. They have day ones running around the clock, so no matter where you live, you should be able to find a tournament that fits in your schedule. I've seen satellites for as little as $2.50. And the other nice thing is if someone does qualify multiple times, they only get to carry over their largest chip stack to the final. So you're not going to be at a huge disadvantage to somebody who is firing multiple bullets. All right, so let me know how you're doing it, and good luck. My next guest is originally from Pennsylvania and currently lives in San Antonio, Texas, where he helps run a live stream for Rounders Tonight. He has over $1 million in online earnings. He's a Twitch streamer, a former member of the Thirst Lounge 10, PokerStars Platinum Pass winner, current ACR Team Pro, and now he's hitting the streets with street poker trivia. I'm excited to welcome Drew Gonzalez, a.k.a. BetOnDrew, to the show. Drew, welcome to All In with Colin. How are you?
Good, brother. It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks, man. So, you guys just got back from Costa Rica.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I think it's actually the first time that all the team pros, literally every single one, was all in the same place at the same time. And like, we played some poker, but we weren't there for poker. So it was actually kind of Thirst Lounge-esque in that our very first time meeting everybody that was in the Thirst Lounge, we all kind of like went somewhere and met. In Houston, actually, it was. The 10 of us were all there. And yeah, this was similar to that. It was really, really cool, though.
Cool. So did anybody get out of line?
I mean, it's actually who didn't get out of line, I think is an easier question to answer. But yeah, we had a good time for sure. The first night there, not too much happened. I think everyone was kind of tired from traveling. But I would say the day before we left, I mean, I guess we'll have to define out of line a little bit, but we were drinking a bunch. We're on the boat. We're on this secluded private island somewhere and stuff. So everyone had a great time.
Amazing. Yeah. Nobody got Chris Moneymaker out of line where they're out of commission for 2 days.
No. I mean, if anybody would have gotten close to that, I would have assumed Rob kind of, but he was, I mean, everyone was kind of like there. Nobody had to be like carried off of the bus or carried up to their room or like puking in the lobby. There was like none of that crazy stuff. We all kind of kept it together pretty well.
Awesome. So the meetings were good?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, buddy. If I could tell you stuff about like what's just around the corner with some ACR stuff, it would be so sick. I'm so excited, but I can't say anything.
Yeah. I had talked to Pardy a little bit earlier, and he was also frothing at the mouth wanting to say something, but he couldn't. He just said big things are coming.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Hey, I first got to know you in the Thirst Lounge. I remember your audition video back in the day. I was big into watching those Twitch streams. So let's go roll back to then maybe. So how nervous were you at first when you first went to the island to join the Thirst Lounge? And who did you become friends with first?
I was probably about as nervous as you could be. Maybe the best example I could think of, maybe like when you're a young boy and you're about to approach a girl for the first time, you don't know what's going to happen. You got butterflies. You feel like you should do it. Like all of that. That's kind of the most innocent way I could describe it. But going into that, it was just, it literally, life, I feel like, is so much timing. And I was just in a moment, in a space where if I was not kind of just at the end of a breakup, kind of like starting life over type of thing, I don't know if I would have actually applied or tried to get into the Thirst Lounge. So it was a really scary moment, but I was in a mode where I was like, okay, if I'm scared of something, that means I'm just going to attack it. I'm going to go towards it, especially if I feel like this is something I need to do. And yeah, man, it was crazy. The very first night. So check this out. I'm just like lonely little boy with like no direction at this point. Going off to the Virgin Islands to stay at some billionaire Bill's house that he has for a year for us. His assistant picks us up in this party bus, immediately takes us to some boat in the middle of the ocean somewhere. We have pizza delivered to us, and then we finally go to our place at the end of the night, and then we're just like dropped off. We got some food before, but we had no food, and we were just in this $3 million mansion. We checked, by the way, so we knew that's how much it was. And then it was like, okay, wow, I'm going to be here for a year. Literally, it's crazy. It's even crazy for me to think about now. But in that moment, that night, I remember everybody kind of retreated to their rooms. You get this room, whatever. And there was 6 rooms maybe, or no. When you walk in, there was left, right, up, down. Maybe there was like 5 rooms, and one of them was a big master bedroom. And John and I ended up being ones who slept on the couch, and we were the last ones kind of, I feel like, up that night. And I remember because he was drunk like the first 21 days in the Thirst Lounge, like straight, like all the way through. And one of the very first nights, him and I were at the bar. He was like sitting on the counter. I was standing there, and we were talking. And I was like, what did people in Big Brother? We were talking about he won Big Brother. And he was telling me a story about how the production people said the thing that surprised them the most about him is that, oh, he was actually smart. Everyone just kind of thought he was a big dummy, right? And we'll sometimes joke and call him Big Dummy, but he's very, very intelligent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then that conversation, I feel like I can very vividly remember it. I think that was kind of the night John and I knew, all right, you know, him and I are going to be close.
And now you guys are both members of ACR Team Pro. It's amazing how far you guys have all came. So many of you from there. But on the island, I remember we didn't know as viewers what all it was going to be. So I imagine you guys didn't have a lot of direction either, right? Like you were kind of figuring things out as you were going. And it wasn't just like, hey, drop you off on the island and drink and just do and party. Like you had to grind. You guys were grinding like the Twitch streets, playing poker, low buying stuff for a long time. Like it was a grind.
Yeah, it was crazy. And honestly, people like you made it what it was, because granted, you know, they picked personalities and we did our like interview process. But I would say people like you, Momac, Tough Spot, Monkey Mel, like all of these people.
Flow Junkie.
Yeah, Flow Junkie. Holy crap, Flow Junkie. Like all of you guys made it, because once you guys started buying in and we saw these people coming around, you know, that's really what pushed us, because you guys were there like so often. And it was a crazy experience, because we were not given any manifesto or anything. Literally, we submitted the audition video. Bill was like, come to Houston. Let's meet everyone. Let's shoot a little bit of video. And then we were on a plane getting dropped off on the islands and just like, okay, bye.
Wow.
That was it.
It was crazy. And I remember when you had you had a real deep run. I think, was it you registered into I don't remember. I think you might have registered into a satellite by accident or something. Somehow you got in a real big tournament and you had a deep run. And it was like a huge score. I remember we were sweating. Maybe you can take us back to that.
Yeah, that was cool. The very first time I played a 10K, early in the Thirst Lounge, I was kind of the grinder, right? When I zoomed back and looked at this, wow, there's 10 people here. We have friggin' Adam Klein, one Survivor, John, one Big Brother. We got Kelly Minkin, we got Ebbs, we got all these huge personalities. And here's in my shell, Drew, like, where do I fit in here? And I was like, oh, well, I'm the streamer and the grinder, right? So I just focused on playing. I was like, okay, this has to be the way that I can contribute here. So I just focused on playing, and I got off to a hot start. That first month, I went on like a 15K upswing or something like that, 10K, whatever. I'd like done really well in some tournaments. And I remember in the chat, our Twitch chat, somebody was like, oh, hey, there's overlaying this satellite for these 1K ticket or for this 10K seat. You should get in it. And I was out feeling all like high on myself because I just had like an 11K score. I was like, all right, I'm going to buy into this satellite for $1,000, try to win a 10K seat. Because at that point I was thinking, we just have to produce hype moments. Like, why else are we here? We have to gamble. We have to take shots. I have a 20K bankroll. I'm in the positive. Like, let's make something happen. Bill, Lara, train and a bunch of other people were flying into the islands that day because some people were like back and forth. But yeah, I got in the 1K Saturday, shipped a 10K seat. And then I remember I was just sitting there. I was like, oh, sick. Okay. I was like, I'm going to sell some action, leading up to it for people's sweats. And I'm going to play. There's got to be a 10K on Sunday. And then all of a sudden a table pops up and I'm in this 10K. Party Poker has a 10K running on a random Thursday. I was okay. Well, I guess we're doing this thing now. So and then long story short. Action.
Yeah.
You were there for that. Do you remember that, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Long story short, I'm sitting at this final table with these crushers that I've like watched and followed for so long and just know that I'm completely out of place.
And I remember there were some big ladder moments and that was exciting. Like it was like one of your biggest scores at the time.
It was my biggest score for sure. It was like 41, whatever. My biggest score prior was a score that I had in the first month at the Thirst Lounge. It was an 11K score. I don't even remember what it was, but that was my biggest score. Then I got my next biggest score. But yeah, geez, man, that was insane.
What a whirlwind. Like, and then you can fast forward a bit. Next thing you know, you're playing one of those moneymaker events when he was with Poker Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And the winner of that got an added platinum pass. And we railed you on that where there was a live stream.
Yep.
And you shipped that. That was exciting. You had some of your Thirst Lounge 10 were there on the rail. And you won it, and you won a platinum pass. You won for one of the moneymaker events. Crazy.
Yeah, that was so sick to see that too, dude. That was such a crazy experience. Winning the moneymaker event for the 30K package, which I didn't get to use until just 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago this year because of COVID, and them all being there. The fact that we were recording, the YouTube video will be up there forever for me to like live back. It's kind of like, my parents had these picture books and I have these videos, right? I have like video books of my kind of journey and streams since like 2016.
Crazy. I remember you had mentioned on some of your streams before how you were streaming out of like a shared room. You had like a curtain up and people may have not known that. Like it looked more professional than you had it. But so you were really grinding with very little. So it's very exciting to see, and how far you've made it since then. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and if anything, to that point, I had to put myself out there. I had to hit a rock bottom, but I had to also still find a way to stay focused and get back to a good place mentally for me. Because I was with the big thing was, for those of you who don't know, I was with a girl for 10 years. We were married for 1 year, and then we had a very tragic breakup, and it broke me. And then I just had to get away from everything. And it took 11 months. It took 11 months for me to feel really healthy and fully over that whole situation. But every time something like that has happened, I've just kind of kept my eyes open, kept working hard. And then the Thirst Lounge, and then because of the Thirst Lounge, we got noticed by ACR. And John and Ebony and I, among others, but we were the three that kind of continued to keep making content. Then we got signed with ACR in the beginning of 2021, because we did another content project, the Triple Threat Challenge. Do you remember that one?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool one. So content, man, putting ourselves out there, and then again, it just the people who enjoyed our content and enjoy our personality. You guys have allowed for us to get, myself obviously included in there, to the point we're at today, where we're like 2-3. What year are we in? 2023.
Yeah, 2023. It's crazy.
2-year plus team pros with ACR, traveling the world, going to Costa Rica, private islands again, bro. When we were on this boat, I remember looking at Ebony, because we're sitting there the same way it was the Thirst Lounge. We're on this boat just driving off into the Caribbean. It happened again, and we had a moment. And I believe John was there too. We were on the back of the boat. What day is it? Saturday? 2 days ago. And it's just like, yo, we're here again. What is happening?
Yeah, it's crazy. But
yeah,
with a little less stress and a little fatter bank accounts, I'm sure, for all of you. Like you've all
yeah. We were all broke the first time in the Thirst Lounge, and we're not rich now, but we're much more comfortable. Do you get what I mean? If I want to order 100%. Chinese food 3 times this week, I'm going to do it. Back then, I had to pick.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to order Chinese food, what's your go-to? I know you're wearing the Send Nude shirt right now.
Yeah,
everyone knows you love food and you love good food, ethnic food. If anybody wanted to order, your number one recommendation, what are you getting?
Well, I might be a little long-winded about this, so you might need to cut this, but I have a strategy. Now, check it out. When I'm ordering Chinese food delivery, because I've pretty much everywhere I go and travel, I want to try it and see. But you got to start off with the beef and broccoli and chicken and broccoli. Those are like OG basics to where you can really get a gauge of whatever Chinese restaurant you're at. So try the easy ones. Get some lo mein. If it's like super dry and the noodles clump together, you're like, this might not be the spot. But if everybody passes, or if the restaurant passes the chicken and broccoli, beef and broccoli lo mein test, then we advance to the sesame chicken. We go to the egg foo young, which for those of you who don't know what egg foo young is, it's like an egg pancake that comes with a brown gravy, which is typically delicious. You could put it over rice. It's amazing. And then, of course, always got to check the crab rangoons. That's probably a first order step that you go to. Beef and broccoli, crab rangoon, some nice fried rice. That's the starting point for anybody wanting. You start there and then you go.
That sounds delicious. I think we're gonna have to have some Chinese tonight because man.
I know, me too. It just hit me too. I'm having Chinese later.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I mentioned at the opening that you're doing street poker trivia. I watched that and I thought that was awesome. When did you come up with that idea, and are you going to continue to do it?
I'm going to continue to do it. I have this coming Tuesday. I'm scheduled with my buddy to go out in San Antonio again and shoot some more of it. And it's been something. I have a lot of ideas, like content ideas that work for me and my personality. And this is one of those things that I've always enjoyed. It's an opportunity to connect with people and talk. But then up to this point, every time I've done this like trivia game, I've given people an opportunity to win money, because I feel like when there's a little bit of something on the line, people really have to show up, or there's a little bit of pressure. It makes it more real. It's weird, but not at the same time. So back in when I started vlogging my YouTube channel to create poker vlogs, I was traveling so that I could get vlogs, but I remember I was like, I'm taking all these Ubers. I was like, I'm gonna start asking these Uber drivers poker questions because I'm curious. It's like there's an opportunity to do something here. And I recorded like 3 or 4 of them where I was just in the car with an Uber driver, and I would start up little conversations and get a feel for how much they might know about poker. And if I think they knew just enough, I was going. And it's on my YouTube channel now, some of the old ones. It's mixed into the vlogs, but I'm like, you want to play a poker trivia game? And I called it Drew's Uber Cash Games. So it's kind of like Cash Cab, but the other way around, where I got awesome. In. Yeah, and then I would ask them questions. And I got a couple of videos, but people are always so like, I think people love that, getting like randomly interviewed, these questions and that content. And that was the initial thoughts with this interview. And it was kind of tough to film in cars. The one dude, I remember the first video I did, his car was real loud. He had some souped up thing and you could hear, I was like, this isn't great. I was like, I wish I could get this angle here, but it's just me with that. And then the ACR challenges that we've been doing, I was like, okay, it's time to bring this back, but to do it even better. And I am on social media a good bit, always absorbing content. There's this one dude on TikTok that I watch that he does these funny interviews in very crowded places with people, just asking them like, how many days are in the year, right? And then they'll answer, and it's really funny because he won't correct them. He'll just say yes with whatever they're.
That guy, yeah,
you seen him, and then he kind of brought it back, and the challenge forced me. I was like, okay, I need to create some content. What do I enjoy doing? Because I don't want it to feel fake or just do what's going on. I was like, all right, I'm bringing back the poker interviews. I got a list of questions. And then one day I started to shoot it. And now I still have a few more that I need to release. But it's actually funny. You know how many times I got rejected asking people if they wanted to play?
How many?
It's the majority of the time. I got 24 questions answered my first time filming the Poker Street interviews. And 60% of the people I asked did not want to do it. Even though I told them that there was money on the line and that it's just 6 questions, it'll be like maybe 5 minutes of your time. But the majority of people said no.
Maybe that's because in Texas, somehow poker is still kind of gray market or gray area there. It's kind of crazy there in Texas, I've heard. When you're playing live anyway at some places.
Yeah. So it is it's legal, but it's because they found a way to make it legal, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's like that, but I don't think it was that. I think some people don't like being on camera. I think that was probably the biggest thing. I remember I had one guy ask me, how much can I win? I was like, up to $100. He's like, nah. So he must have had too much money. Yeah, he didn't care. And then there was another one where I don't think it was about being on camera. This one lady, it was a group of 3 people eating ice cream outside of this ice cream shop. I was like, hey, you guys want to play poker trivia with me? It's like, you can win up to $100. What do you say? And they're like, no. And the one lady's like, but if my husband was here, he probably would. They were super nice. But then I was walking away, right? And she's like, well, what are the questions? I was like, well, you want to hear one? I was like, we can't play the game now because I can't give you the questions. But I asked her 2 questions and she got them right. She's like, oh, I want to play now. So I think there's also just a hesitation of the unknown of like what they're going to be asked, the videoing. And I kind of assumed that going in that I was going to get a lot of no's because before poker, I have a business degree and a sales background. So I understand that, okay, I'm going to be going up to people. I was nervous at first until you kind of get the butterflies out, beginning of a game or whatever. And I had to ask a few people and then I slowly got into it more, but I could feel it. And I think people can also feel my energy. I thought I came across pretty well, but it's not as easy as it might look to walk up to random strangers in a public setting, ask them poker questions, be there, film. There's like so many levels to it. But honestly, the feedback that I'm getting from everybody watching it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, it does look really good. And yeah, I can understand that. And especially being in sales, you do face a lot of rejection. So, so yeah, that's good that helps you out with that. And yeah, and people are nervous and maybe if they saw one and they saw someone being and then they're like, oh, it's not too bad. I could handle that. Maybe they're just scared, right? People are scared of the unknown. Like okay. So I was asking John this as well. So in poker, how you take a bad beat or you lose a big pot and it sticks with you, it lingers, maybe more so than the wins. So is there one hand where you lost where you would like to go back and change that? One spot where you think, man, if I would have won that hand.
It's weird. This first spot that came to my mind was the Platinum Pass event that was on the Twitch stream. I don't know if you remember, but I 3-bet folded Ace Queen in a spot, and Joe Stapleton was like, if he 3-bet folds here, I will eat my shoe or my hat or whatever. And then I did. And Max, who is a crusher and the guy I got heads up with, he had Ace Jack in this hand. But I remember what was going through my mind, and he hadn't done anything at that point. He was just like super, super tight. I didn't know who he was. We're playing. First place was the 30K Platinum Pass. Second place was 10K. And then it was like, I don't know, 5K, whatever, on the way down. I was like, wow, if we're playing for the win, this dude has been playing tight the whole time. It's like, I felt really bad afterwards when I found out he had Ace Jack, but I ended up winning, so I can't be too upset about it. But I remember that sat on my mind for a long time. And when I went back through the chat, if you look at it, you see all the people like hating on it. And I wouldn't say at that point I had enough poker accomplishments that people would listen to what I had to say. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's like if somebody questioned Doug Polk about folding Ace Queen in that spot, he's going to have a good explanation. People are going to, buy it. Whereas if somebody you don't know 3-bet folds Ace Queen, you just think fish, right? Or recreational player, whatever the word you want to use.
Yeah, 100%. And people are quick, especially on Twitch streams, they're quick to point out, right? Everyone's a chat pro on when they're watching, right?
It's so easy, bro. You could see everyone's cards.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you might go because you made it to day 5 of the World Series Poker main event, did you not?
Yeah, but that was after that, right? Yeah, that was after that. That was fall of 2021.
Sure. And how did you bust out of that?
I mean, I could have maybe raised folded this spot. It folds to me in the cutoff. I have less than 15 blinds, and I had pocket eights, and I just jammed. I was having kind of a rough day, losing some flips, getting some unlucky, whatever type of stuff that doesn't even stick out in my mind anymore. But I jammed the eights, and this casual player who just got moved to the table had tens, and he calls, of course, and then wins, and that's how I busted out. But I did think about it later. Maybe I was around 15-ish, like maybe I had 16, and I wouldn't normally jam there, but maybe I had some nerves or something, because it's going to be plus EV jam, but was it optimal, right? Should I have like raised, called, and then maybe I would have folded because I knew he was probably just going to be playing his cards fairly tight, avoid a flip. Otherwise, I'm dominated. He probably flats sevens, sixes, fives, all the hands that I beat. So yeah, it wasn't anything crazy. I was so high at that point when I busted out, just like, dang, it was sick. I made day 5 of the main.
Yeah, day 5 of the main. That's an incredible run. And yeah, I don't think anyone can blame fault for folding 15 big or not for shoving it. I mean, that's, you have no, or if you open and someone jams on you, then you have questions, right? So can't really blame you on there. So something more positive. Have you ever splurged or rewarded yourself with something after you've had a big win or had some success? Anything that just felt so good to...
The very first splurge that I remember was in the Thirst Lounge after that 41K score. I final tabled at 10K. I bought a virtual reality machine for the house. Awesome. But this was old, kind of, I feel like old school virtual reality. We had to set up the 4 stands and get the kind of box area that you could use the VR machine in. So that was 100% my very first time where I had like a nice poker score, and I was like, okay, I'm going to blow some money on something, and I don't care if I even leave the Thirst Lounge with this. This is like for the house and everything. That was the first big splurge. And geez, after that summer, when I made day 5 of the main, I actually cashed for like 100K in events that fall, because that was the last time we were at the Rio. And I don't know if I splurged on anything then. I mean, yeah, big splurges. I only think of the VR machine, because then past that, the way my money usually leaves me is just like ordering food.
Sure. Right on. Yeah, bunch more beef and broccoli.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you're involved in the live stream in San Antonio, so maybe quick chat on that. So how's that going?
Yeah, I've been overseeing the live stream and a good portion of the marketing efforts at Rounders Card Club. For when did it happen? After last WSOP, I think it's been since August. So we're coming up on like 9 months of me overseeing it. And oh man, it's very, very cool, but there's a lot that goes on with it that you don't know until you get into it. Now I have a team of 8 to 10 people that all help, whether it's the dealers, the directors running the stream, the video editors on YouTube, people helping me post on socials, because I still have my brand, the BetOnDrew brand, to manage, and now I'm also helping manage the Rounders brand. And there's definitely a point where I've in the past overworked myself. I can't do everything. I'm doing much better with delegating. But not only do I have my team of like 8 to 10 people or whatever, I also now have to get people to play this game. You have to like staff these games. And this has been I would say one of the bigger challenges outside of some technical things, because I know some tech stuff, but I don't know enough tech stuff. I've been very fortunate to have a couple of guys, Chad and Victor, who have extensive IT experience, video, audio, stuff like that to help me with the stream. But it is not easy, especially I'm an outsider coming into San Antonio here, and I did not play these cash games. I'm not in the culture. I'm still learning a lot about it, because I'm a tournament player who would play cash games wherever I went. If I busted out of a tournament, that was pretty much how it went. Or, well, actually 2021, when I was making vlogs, I was very specifically not going there. I was like, to play cash, I was like going to make a vlog.
Sure.
Do you see what I mean? My mindset was kind of in a different space. But there's so much, man, to kind of just make sure that the game pops off, audio, video, everything is good. And it's a lot, but once you see it in motion, it's very, very rewarding and very cool. And I'm just creating content in another different way.
Yeah, you're doing a ton of content. Yeah, it does seem like it's a lot of work, but I've seen some of the clips and it looks like it's been a fun stream. If you could choose any celebrity to come play, who would it be?
On the stream?
On the stream, yeah. Come play. Sit down at your table and play on the cash game.
Wow. So, like, I feel like a common answer would be something like Phil Ivey, but I don't think that would be my answer. Obviously, that would be sick. Phil, if you're listening to this, you can come play. Okay, you're still the best. But, man, a celebrity to come play on the stream.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a poker player. It could just be like your favorite actor, actress.
Yeah. I don't even know who my favorite actor or actress is. Maybe I'll tell you three names. The three names that have come to my mind. Okay. I definitely wanted Robbie to come on the stream when she started coming back. Right. Okay, because that would have been cool.
Very cool.
Holy crap! I'm gonna call him Neo, but Keanu Reeves.
Nice.
For whatever, Keanu Reeves.
One of the coolest
and
guys in the
then
world.
Denzel Washington.
Nice. Yeah, I think that would be a sick lineup.
Yeah, Robbie, Denzel, Keanu, and then the San Antonio folks or whoever else. Me and Jay Pard's in there too.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have trouble filling up the rest of the seats.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I think we could go a lot longer. We'll have to have you back one day.
Mm-hmm.
So what projects are you working on quickly? Where are you heading next? Anything people should look forward to see you in?
The projects right now, what is it? It's April 22nd. So I got about a week until we find out which two ACR team pros are going to be going to Cyprus to play Triton events, because our challenge is about to end. So that's really going to dictate what happens for me in May. But if I don't end up winning, May 12th, the new Breath of the Wild Zelda game comes out on Switch. And I promise you, I posted a tweet. I will not be findable. Okay. My phones are getting buried somewhere. I'm disconnecting the internet. Unless I need it for the game, I'm going to die. I cannot wait for this game, man. And that's my May. So it's either Cyprus or Drew disappears because he's playing Breath of the Wild 2. And then June 1st, Punter's Pad 3, we will all be in Vegas for at least 2 months, filming some content for YouTube, just living the dream again.
Oh, that'll be awesome. So either way, I hope you win the challenge because, Weasel did pretty outstanding.
Crazy. That's the stories, man. That's the stories we live for. I love that Weasel story. Stormer to winning the challenge, going to Vietnam, winning $700K, I think it was, after his bounties. I heard he gave away like $40K to his stream.
Wow.
And he's taking it in, man. I see him putting out, some more content, and he's got an incredible boost here. And I'm rooting for him. I'm following the story.
That's
These
awesome.
are the stories we want to hear. It didn't get enough coverage, honestly.
No, I don't think it did. And I do love that ACR is doing stories like that and putting random people in with like the Moneymaker events, putting you guys in, putting Stormers in, giving people like Ebony Kennedy when she went to Triton and cleaned up there. Like, you just love to see it.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man. And you've been there, Colin. You've been there, man, since the beginning of it all, pretty much. You've been able to see this full circle up to this point.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I really love seeing you all have so much success, and I hope continued success. I hope you guys all crush in the Punter's Pad at the World Series, and look forward to watching that content.
Cheers, brother.
All right, my next guest is originally from Olympia, Washington, and now lives in California. He's a professional poker player, a Twitch streamer, interview host, content creator, ACR team pro, and currently banned on Twitter. I'm excited to welcome Michael Loncar, a.k.a. Ferris Bueller, to the show. Michael, welcome to All In with Colin. How are you?
I love the introduction, man. Awesome. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today, man.
Yeah, no problem. First off, did they ban you on Twitter for being too handsome? That's the only thing I could think of.
I mean, it's so I posted a video. It's still on my Instagram. It's like it's one of my favorite videos I've ever made. It's a fake dramatized knockout video at the casino. I'm good friends with Ben Irwin, the tournament director at Thunder Valley. And there was a WPT tournament series in town. And I was there for the tournament. It was an $1,100 buy-in, 1 million guaranteed. And I went up to Ben Irwin, the tournament director, before the tournament started. And I said, hey, I want to do this dramatized fake knockout video of me getting fake knocked out of the tournament. And I was wondering if you could hop on the microphone and say like, "Oh, Michael Loncar just got knocked out of the tournament again." And then, well, actually, to be fair, I said, "Can you say Michael Loncar got knocked out of the tournament?" Like any tournament director would ever do that. And then the other tournament director was there. He's like, "How about if you're trying to make this funny, you say that, wait a second, go again." And so that's what he did. And then I had 3 different friends along this row of tables at like 3 different tables. I was like, "Hey," to my first friend, I was like, "Hey, when I walk by here, you'll see me being filmed. I want you to yell like, 'Oh my God, what an idiot.' And then I want you over here to be like, 'Oh my God, you play that hand, what a donkey.'" And it was just a hilarious video. Everyone related to it. It was super funny. And 3 hours after I posted that video to my Twitter, I get a notification that says your Twitter has been permanently suspended for violating the Twitter terms of service and rules. And I've never done anything outside of Twitter rules. So I figured it had to be a Karen hitting the old, I'm going to report this as harassment, because it is technically, if you want to get down to like the terms of like, yes, it's a harassing video, but I even put in the comments in the caption, like, "Hey, this is a funny video. What would you do if live tournaments were actually like this and you just got berated like this? Would you still play?" And it was a funny video. Everyone thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I watched the video. I seen it. I must have been in that first 3 hours because I thought it was hilarious too. I can't believe that they would ban you for that. That seems like ridiculous.
So I sent Twitter 7 appeal emails within the next 36 hours. And I said, okay, so I can't imagine that I'm getting banned on Twitter for anything other than the video. If it's not something to do with this video, please let me know what it is, because I spent an hour reading all of the fine print of the terms of service. I've never broken any of the rules. And I said, if it is because of the video, please let me know so we can talk about it further. If it's not, please let me know what it is. And they said, okay, we'll get back to you in 5 to 7 days. 11 days later, they send me an email saying, "Case closed, nothing else to talk about. You broke the rules and your account's banned forever. You can never create another account." So now,
oh my God.
So now I'm writing them an email every single day. I think I'm going to up it to 2 emails a day. The only thing that makes me feel kind of good about this is Jon Pardy, ACR team pro, good friend of mine. He got his Twitter account banned in the same fashion last year. This is how ridiculous. Same thing. He was promoting a live boxing stream match that was going to be streamed on Twitch, like actual boxing in the ring thing. And he put a tweet out to his opponent that said, "I'm going to knock you out."
Wow.
And Twitter deemed that as abusive, harmful behavior. And he said, "I got the same messages that you did, that your account's permanently gone. Forget about it. Case closed." And he said, "I finally messaged them." He goes, "I messaged them every single day for 4 months until I'm guessing a human and not a robot actually came across my situation and said, okay, this is ridiculous. You're restored." So I just pray to God that somehow, some way, someone looks at this in the next 2 to 3 months.
That's insane.
Says, okay, this is insane. Let's do right here and unban me. So,
and there's so many terrible videos on Twitter that you come across, or even like there's nudity and like everything.
The most hardcore porn is okay, but this video isn't. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man.
That's unbelievable. Are you drinking Prime there?
My kid makes me buy him Prime. It's very overpriced, but it's honestly worth every penny because it's delicious. So
I have 3 boys, and they are the 2 youngest ones, 10 and 12. Man, I spent like $18 when they first came out. The only place I could find it in town. I live in Edmonton, in Alberta, Canada, and they were $18. And yeah, like every kid wants Prime, and I'm driving store to store trying to find them for Amazon. Easter and stuff.
I order them on Amazon. Get them delivered to my front door. I got 3 boys as well, so I can relate, and nice. It's really good. It's really
good. Though they showed up, they're in 7-Eleven here now. They're $3, $3.25. So now they're like, it's not as cool now because now everyone has Prime. So not as whatever, right? But yeah, so I've been there, so that's hilarious. All right, so so the other 2 guys, John and Drew, I've kind of followed them for a while. I've seen a lot of your stuff, and I've always been, you're always positive. You've been around for a long time. So I don't know a lot of your actual story, though. But like, how did you get into poker, and when did you realize you wanted to pursue it professionally?
So I started playing for nickels and dimes and quarters with my grandpa and my dad when I was 4 years old, and always loved cards, always loved games. I've been a basketball player my whole life. Like up until senior year of high school, I was just living and breathing basketball. I was literally just basketball all year round, watching basketball all year round, playing basketball all year round. But to back it up, I started playing. My dad got me into online poker for play money when I was 12 years old in 1998. I'm 36 now. 1998, I checked it out recently. It's not a site anymore, but it was a site called hotpoker.net.
Nice.
And it was 6-handed limit hold'em play money tables, and most of the players were bots. They acted instantly, so you would take a second to act and then go show what they did, and now it's back on you. And then you would know that you're playing against a human being because they actually took longer than 1 second to act when another human was in there. And I just played play money limit games on there for 5, 6, 7 years. When I was 17 years old, my dad said, "It's time for you to step up, son." So he let me play on his party poker account when I was 17. He gave me $500 to play with, $5 and $10 sit and goes. And over the course of 6 months, I slowly bled that $500 gone. Looking back now, I was the most trappy player. I would trap myself all the time, flop the nuts and check and bet small turn and just get, just trap myself. And so he said, "Okay, $500, you're done. You're done, son." And when I was 18, I deposited $100 or $200, which was all my money as a broke senior in high school online. And over the course of 3 weeks, starting off at 25-cent buy-in cash games, I moved up really fast. And 3 weeks later, I had 3,000 in my account. And being an idiot 18-year-old with no bankroll management skills and no knowledge of how important that is to not play with too much of your money and put yourself too much at risk, I'm all of a sudden playing $600 in a limit with 5 buy-ins in my bankroll. Lose one buy-in, go on tilt, lost it all in one night. Remember sobbing and crying. Poker's done. 4 or 5 months later, did the exact same thing. Deposit $100, built up slowly over the course of a month, and lost it all in one night playing $6 in a limit. And at that point in time, funny story behind that. So I was a basketball player my whole life. I had some small scholarship offers after my junior year of high school and had a really good game. And the last week of summer basketball going into my senior year of high school, I dropped 45 on a team that we probably would beat 1 out of 50 times, and we beat them. And I had I think I had 42, and I was 7 for 8 from 3. We had a bunch of college scouts looking at me, and they're like, "Oh my God," got some attention from some D2 schools. And then that was the second to last week of summer basketball. The next week, I blew out my knee, completely blown out, ACL, MCL, meniscus. I didn't get to play my senior year, and that was what I built up my whole childhood for my senior year. And that was the summer that was the winter that I was kind of down in the dumps, and I really got into online poker. And it was funny because during that 3-week winter break, we had a one bedroom upstairs room above my parents' garage, and I would go up there and play poker from 8 p.m. till 6 in the morning. And for whatever reason, even though my dad got me to poker, it's funny as an 18-year-old, your perspective of things. My parents didn't care at all I was playing poker, but I thought they would care for some reason. Even now, why did I think that? But every time I could hear my mom or dad coming up the stairs, I'd go click, 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 minimize all the tables, sit out, and pretend like I'm looking at something else. Well, one night after 3 or 4 weeks of this, at the end of winter break, my mom comes up the stairs silently, catches me playing on his table, and she goes, "Oh my God, thank you, dear Lord. I'm so happy you're playing online poker because I thought you had a porn addiction."
Oh, that's amazing.
So I lost. I did it twice. I turned $100 into 3K in over a month, lost it all playing too high. The second time, I was so devastated. I said, "I'm done with poker. Never again." And then fast forward 1 year later, freshman year of college, again, I deposited $200 online out of the entire $300 I had in my account. I played for 2 days straight. Hardly slept, didn't shower, didn't eat. Friday night, deposited $200. Sunday night, I now have my account at $5,000.
Wow.
And I'm playing $400 or $500 in a limit, and I start tilting. And I just start losing, and can't see straight, wasn't taking care of myself. My account's at 3K, and I said, okay, I'm on tilt. I know I'm on tilt. If you'd have told me Friday night that I'd have 3K 2 days later, I'd say, hell yeah. So I cashed it out, took a week off, and I came up with a game plan of I'm going to risk this amount of money per night. If I get up this amount per night, I'm done. Super strict bankroll management from that point. 2 or 3 months later, the semester's done. I've got $15,000, which as a 19-year-old feels like a lot more than 15K.
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
I decided to drop out of school, play for a living. I was basically just making enough to pay the bills and pay my rent and pay for my food because even as a, budgeting 19-year-old, obviously life's expensive. I then listened to my mom's plea to go back to school. I did. I went down to Santa Barbara City College on the beach. It was the best college experience ever. With the help of my parents and the help of my poker bankroll, paid for my college, got my 2-year degree. And by the time I got my 2-year degree when I was 21, I had paid for a $10,000 Acura with my money, had about a $35,000 bankroll. And I said, this is what I want to do for a living. And it was actually about that same time I found out I was playing 3 sit and goes at a time on Bodog. And I found out through SharkScope that there's PokerStars pros playing 20 tables at a time, which isn't even anything I thought about at the time. It took me 1 month to be able to go from 3 tables to 15 tables tiled on my laptop. And I got to the point even a few weeks later where I was able to play 15 sit and goes at a time, tiled on my laptop, and do it continuously for like an entire day straight. And I didn't have a losing month for the first 6 or 7 years of my poker career just by playing 90% sit and goes. And I turned basically $100 into $100K. And I've been playing poker for a living ever since.
Wow. And all thanks to your dad.
All thanks to my dad. That's right.
Wow. And how far does he still play, or is he?
He still plays all the time. He plays, $10 buy-in, $15 sit and goes, $10 buy-in cash games, little stuff. But he loves the game. He's always loved the card game.
Oh, that's awesome. So how old are your kids?
My kids are 13, 11, and 4. People always ask me all the time, like, oh my God, I didn't realize you started so early. So I met my wife 7 years ago, and she had 2 boys that were 7 and 5. They're now my boys. And we got pregnant with Luke on our honeymoon down in Mexico. So I always joke around that Luke was made in Mexico.
Nice.
And he just turned 4. And we are done, man. 3 boys is a full house. We're done. We're finito. Life is great. Now my wife, because my wife started early with her firstborn when she was 19. So she's never really had adult freedom. So she's counting down the minutes to when Luke is going to be out of the house so we can actually travel and play poker. And she loves poker. So she's looking forward to that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, similar with me with the kids turning into teenagers in here. But I'm always wondering, so like, because they always watch me play poker, they'll come in and see. So where are you at? Are like, if they want to play, like, that's what I'm wondering too. That like, it's funny because one of my I stress to them, it's like, it's not gambling. This is a skill game. It's a game of skill with an added luck element, right? I want to make sure they are aware of that, right? So I don't want them, And my oldest boy, he's like, purely thinks it's gambling. He's just like, nope, it's gambling, Dad.
How old are your boys?
So 13, sorry, 15. He just turned 15. And then I have a 12-year-old, almost 13. And then I have a 9-year-old who's going to be 10. So they'll be 10, 13, and 15. Nice. And they're a handful.
Yeah, I know it.
So my youngest, though, we were at my parents for dinner the other day, and it was similar. When I started playing poker, it was similar. You go to a family function, they pull out all the change, and I used to play with these aunts and uncles. Yep. And some of them are still around, and they're a lot older, and they're still bringing their change. So they were there, and then I walk upstairs and look, and there's my 10-year-old sitting down at the table, and a bunch of change in front, playing with them, and he was so pumped on he won a pot. Didn't even know what he's doing, but and they're playing games like they'll mix in hold 'em, but they're chase the ace, follow the queen, all these random old school game stud, right? So so he seems to have the little bug. The other two not so much, but if they want to, I'm always wondering. So I'm not sure how you're going to approach it if they decide, hey, Dad.
Yeah, and again, I think you nailed it right on the head right there. I think you either love the game or you don't. You're either drawn to it or you're not, and I think that goes for everybody. My oldest, I don't think he's gonna be into it. He's so smart. He's a computer. He's got to be looking at a screen, so he actually could get into online poker, not live poker in the near future. But he's just not there yet. He doesn't like it right now. He likes to do his own thing. My middle son definitely loves poker. Like, we actually haven't had any home games since COVID started, and we actually started like, okay, it's time to get it going again. COVID's not a worry for us anymore. We need to get our monthly family, $100 buy-in fun cash game going again. Whenever we had those up, up until a few years ago, he was always at the table, wanting to play, wanting to make money. Daddy, let me win some pots. He loves it. And then my little 4-year-old's still 4, so he's still so young, but I can tell he loves it too. He's gonna love playing cards as well. So
cool.
Yeah, we got a poker family.
That's awesome. So is your oldest, is he playing like Roblox games like that, or?
He's playing Roblox, and he's playing lots of like 3D trains and all these different 3D games. We just got him a computer, so he's just in his room on his computer 24/7.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like my oldest as well.
Yes, he's gonna be some type of computer job, no doubt about it. Whether it's IT or code or something, that's definitely gonna be his calling. He loves computers.
Cool. All right, so that's great. So what if you could go back in time and give advice to somebody new in this day and age? Like, what kind of advice would you give them to kind of eliminate some of the mistakes that you made early on? Or
so my biggest mistake was I was so disciplined when it came to my bankroll on the felt but off the felt, I was spending my money like I was a millionaire. And looking back now, I had no shot. Like, it didn't matter how much money I made, what my win rate was. I was spending so hard, I gave myself no chance. And I actually did go completely broke. I went from having $100,000 and a Porsche when I was like 23 to fast forward to like 27 years old, and I'm literally can't even play a 1-2 game because I don't have any cash and I have no car, and I got to start all over again. And that was tough. That's so tough. It's so tough to play 1-3 on a stake.
Sure.
Where you got 50% of yourself when you used to be playing 10-20 and having all of yourself and being plush, and that was tough. But yeah, the biggest advice I would give to those of you out there that want to take it seriously is to treat your money on the felt the same off the felt. So be disciplined, have bankroll management rules, set rules for yourself on how much you can lose per night, how much you can play with per night, weekly limits. Make sure that you are being smart. And then when you're off the felt, when you spend $100 on something that you don't need, like a pair of shoes, you should look at that as, I just lost $100 on the poker table. I didn't have that. I didn't have that mentality of like, oh, I'm going to go buy a $500 bar tab for my friends. I didn't look at that as the same as losing $500 on the felt, because I just made $2,000 tonight. So I can party with my friends and spend $500. Who cares? I'm still at $1,500. That was my biggest flaw. And that would be my biggest advice, is to treat every dollar on and off the felt as if it's your last. Save, build your bankroll. And don't be too fast to move up. I think there's too many players out there that aren't happy and content with just staying at a level and building and winning consistently. And everyone always wants to just take over the world now and move up. How fast can I get to 510? How fast can I get to 1020? I want to go on Live at the Bike. I want to go on Hustler Live. No, just build and win and build your role and be smart and be safe and find a game that you can win consistently at and stay there for a while and build up.
That is great advice. Yeah, definitely, especially with social media and yeah, all these live stream games popping up. People, they want to get there. They want to show up and be there. And if they're not ready for it, yeah, then it's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
So be ready for their opportunity.
Everyone needs to stay within your means. I mean, right? Like Nick Airball, I don't know, but I've heard the word around the poker streets is that he's made millions as a hedge fund manager or has a rich wife or whatever it is. But nonetheless, he has millions and millions and millions of dollars he's made in the business world. And so he can afford to win or lose $300,000 or $400,000 on a poker table because supposedly that's within his means. So like, but people don't realize like he probably has like 15 million behind him. So he can risk millions at a time and still it's not going to affect his lifestyle. Not going to change his world. So you gotta be smart. Play within your means.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. So do you have one go-to person in poker that you go to still for advice, or if you need to vent or anything?
So my wife has become that for sure. That's everyone. I feel like all my poker friends have either a girlfriend or wife that just doesn't want to hear about it, doesn't know the game, doesn't like the game, and they like that because it's like, okay, I don't have to like bring that into our world. But then I love the connection I have with my wife. Like one of the first nights I ever met her, we were playing a 3-handed penny and dimes and quarters game with her cousin on one drunken party night. But like just watching her bet and the way she was playing, I was like, oh, she's a player. Like she's not a newbie to the game, And it turns out her whole family has had home cash games her whole life. Her whole family loves poker. They love the game. And she's definitely studied more than me over the last couple of years to improve her game. We've done tons of coaching sessions together on a weekly basis, my tournaments and her tournaments to improve her game. So she's become that for me. She's become, we talk about hands. She understands tilt. She understands the emotions and the feelings and all of it. So she's become that for me. But still to this day, I also talk strategy with my best friend, Jason, here in town, my boy, Jason Seward. And we've talked more hands than, man. I mean, we've been best friends since I was 19 and we still talk hands and talk strategy. And he's my, go-to when I want to ask someone that I really respect on like what they think about on a hand. I go to my wife first, ask her opinion because I do value her opinion because she's become a very good player with very, good points to hands. And it's funny, like sometimes she teaches me things. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that check raiser better than the bet, or me and him still rap, we still talk, and we still talk strategy.
That's awesome.
But, yeah.
Okay, so ACR, so you guys just got back from Costa Rica. How did that go?
Oh my God, it was a dream trip. So it's Saturday now. I flew in late last night. I was there Monday through Friday. And it was just a dream trip. It was the best team bonding trip ever. We've got a couple pros on our team. You can figure out who they are. I won't name them here on the podcast. But we got a few pros on the team that have been team pros for some other big sites. And I was on a big boat with them yesterday, talk with them, like, man, like over at these other sites, it's not like this at all. There's no family atmosphere like this. And I've been with ACR for 4 or 5 years now, and even just going to the headquarters and all of the people that work there, it's a big family. Phil is I don't even think of him as my boss. I've never thought of him as my boss. He's just one of the guys. I mean, he used to be a poker pro. He's a very good player, so he knows what it's like to be broke and what it's like to grind, and he's a great player, so he understands poker players. I think that's so important for a CEO of a poker site to actually be a real poker player. And man, it's just such a family vibe. I'm looking forward. Hopefully, the camera guy sends me this video. I actually gave a little speech in front of everyone. Just said, like, there was tons of people in the room, tons of staff, and I said, I don't know everyone's first name here, but I feel like we're all a family. I'm proud to be a part of this family. And every single team pro that I talked to on the boat at the end of the trip last night said the exact same thing. Like, what good vibes. Everyone loves each other. It's a rare thing. It's a very rare thing that we have going on right now at ACR, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, I just talked to Jon Pardy, and he echoed those sentiments exactly. He said how he couldn't believe how everyone just gelled, and if it doesn't matter if it's someone working customer service or answering phones or doing whatever, everyone's part of it, and everyone's just working like a family in a big unit. So yeah, it's awesome to see, and I love how Phil Nagy and ACR are doing a lot of big things, trying to get you pros and streamers and regular people into big games, life-changing opportunities. We saw one with Weasel recently, and your guys are invested in a huge contest right now. So what's that one going on for?
Yeah, so Phil Nagy sprang it upon us last minute out of nowhere. We were told something big's coming in December, and then middle of January, our ACR team pro manager, Mel, came onto a Zoom call with us and said, okay, so Phil came up with these guidelines. There's going to be 2 of you. They're going to win a $100,000 package for the Triton High Roller Series in Vietnam. And then a week later, he actually bumped up to 3 packages. We had a Zoom call meeting with all of our pros. It actually took 2 or 3 Zoom call meetings to kind of change some of the parameters, change the details, change the point structures to what we felt was the most fair for everyone. And right now, this is the start of the last week of the challenge. It's our 10 best ROIs with $11 plus on ACR. And $200 live tournaments count as well. And we put a 5x boost on ROI on live tournaments as well. So there's that part of the challenge. And then the second part of the challenge this time is the amount of followers that you gain on Instagram and Twitter, percentage-wise, with how many followers you started with on the challenge, and just actual followers gained. So I was mega tilted. I haven't been this perma-tilted in I don't know how long. When the first day of the challenge, I come out with this amazing post a few weeks ago, and my Twitter gets banned. And like, wow. So after the last challenge, on this challenge now, my Twitter's gonna get banned when Twitter followers is part of this fucking challenge. So like literally the first 5 days, I was just out of it. I wasn't playing tournaments ACR. I was so tilted. And I finally got myself together and said, okay, that's out of my control. I can't control that. I can control everything else. I'm gonna go as hard as I can, continue to message Twitter, and obviously it's probably not getting unbanned before the challenge is done. But nonetheless, as always in poker, you get bad beats. There's hands that you can't control. You can't control the turn of river's going to come, but all you can do is play each hand the best that you can. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm playing everything the best I can, giving it my all, just like I did in the first challenge. And I'm feeling really good. So the ACR, the heads up part of the tournament, 16 of us in it. Moneymaker isn't competing in the challenge. Ape Styles, who got a package on the last challenge, he's also not competing. So we had to have 4 or 5 ACR Stormers that are basically like the next level pros beneath us on ACR. They filled in the spot so there could be 16 people in this tournament. Me and BetOnDrew are the only 2 remaining out of the pros in the final 4 right now. So we're both in the semifinals. And if I can win the next 2 matches, I don't want to say I'm a lock, but I might be a lock with the point system. And I'm second place currently on the tournament scores behind Boski. Drew's nipping at my heels, so I got to get some scores in this week and just continue to try and get followers on Instagram since I can't get followers on Twitter, and just give it my all. And I'm feeling really good. I actually feel like the universe is meant to have me win this challenge. It's my wife's birthday during the Cyprus series that I would be out there playing with. And she actually can get the week off from work and come out with me. So please,
Oh,
poker gods, let
yeah,
this be.
please, let's
Please,
make it
poker
happen.
gods, let this be. So
Yeah, so
obviously the first week of challenge, I was praying my Twitter would get unbanned during the challenge to get the Twitter growth going. Now I'm just hoping that it gets unbanned in the next couple of months, and hopefully I can still pull off a win in this challenge. I'm giving it all I have. I'm giving it all I can, and that's all I can do. So I'm feeling good about it right now.
So we need to start tagging Elon Musk and get your Twitter.
Someone needs to call Elon Musk and tell him your boy Michael Loncar needs some help. I need some help, obviously, and I have been told over the last on this trip in Costa Rica from a few friends that live Bori, actually PokerStars Pro, or I think she's still a PokerStars Pro, but I guess she has an actual connection with Elon. So I'm going to reach out to her today and tell her I've been a fan of hers for a long time because I have, and pray to God that she has some sort of plug that she can help me out with. So.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Twitter engagement between those two. So definitely he does have a relationship with her in some capacity. Yep. So what's your Instagram then? So we should all start following you on Instagram if we're not.
Yes, I would appreciate it. So my name on Instagram is Michael_Loncar, just my name, Loncar. And I do tons of Instagram stories, updates of, family life and all-ins at tables, and try and give as much of a look behind the scenes as I can to everything that's going on with my life. And yeah, if you guys could give me a follow on there, I'd really appreciate that. The follower growth is done a week from. It's done on Sunday the 30th, so another 8 or 9 days of that. So I'd really appreciate it if any of you out there could give me a follow on Instagram. Even if you just followed me right now and then unfollowed me like on May 5th or something when the challenge is done, I'd appreciate it very much.
So when are the next heads up matches?
So me and Drew are on opposite sides of the bracket. We're facing off against the ACR Stormers. We're up against. We're just trying to schedule it out right now. I think it's going to be Tuesday, and it looks like me and Mephisto, Brandon, who's an ACR Stormer. We're going to battle it out to start off. I think right now it's going to be 4 p.m. Pacific time over on the America's Cardroom channel on Twitch.
So they'll be streamed.
It'll be streamed live with a 5-minute delay, and then when we're done with our match, Drew and his opponent will come on, and hopefully it's me and Drew in the finals. I love Drew. He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had to choose one song to listen to before your a big tournament or maybe your heads up match, what song would it be?
My favorite song of all time, Rufus Du Sol, Inner Bloom. It's like 9.5 minutes. It just puts me in a certain type of mood and has like a real intense vibe to it. It's just my favorite song. Definitely an easy choice.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, Michael. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today, and
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I'll definitely get on Twitter and we'll start tagging Elon and try to get you unbanned because that's ridiculous.
It's awful. It's awful. It really is. I'm going to continue to message them, and I'm sure it'll be unbanned at some point. I just hope it's not like too long from now, obviously.
Yeah, so. Exactly. What horrible the horrible timing.
It's a bad beat. It's life gives you bad beats just like poker, and just like in poker, at times it's hard to like mentally let go and move on. But that's all you can do. Just it's done. My Twitter's unbanned. I'm going to continue to message and do everything I can on that and reach out to whoever I can. And as far as the challenge goes, I'm still confident I'm going to win, and I'm going to give that my all. That's all I can do.
That's awesome. I really like how you're approaching it. And that's probably why you're having so much success at the poker tables with that approach.
I've always said that my strongest part of my game is my mindset. There's so many good players, but I feel like not enough top players have that killer mindset, brush it off, move on, stay focused, and just play each hand individually and give it your all, and try not to get emotional. And it's so funny. It's a tough thing to do because I'm such an emotional guy, but obviously being in the poker game so long, I've trained myself to like try and not be emotional at all when I'm in the game. So it's definitely something that takes a lot of time. And if you work at it, you can get to that point. And I have to drop, I have nothing involved with this, but I have to drop my highly recommended Poker Winners Are Different. It's a book, Poker Mindset, to completely, I feel like flipped the switch for me when I was about 23 when I read it. Poker Winners Are Different by Alan Schoonmaker. It's just such a great book all about how you need to look at the game, the psychology of the game. And I highly recommend it for those of you out there. You should check it out. It's like $5.
Poker Winners Are Different. Okay. Well, yeah, it sounds great. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. Well, enjoy the rest of the weekend. And I'd love to have you back down the road. And good luck in the heads up match.
Thank you so much. I'll come on a whim anytime you want. And thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate you, man. Nice to meet you.
All right. Nice to meet you as well. All right. The sad violin is playing. So that's a wrap on episode 7 of All In with Colin. If you enjoyed that, please hit the follow button and share the podcast. I'd really appreciate it. If you're new, listen after the ending music. I always leave a little Easter egg at the end of each episode. I don't know if you know that, but check it out if you haven't. And I'll be back soon with an all-new episode. Hey guys, Colin Capone checking in, and this week we got some big news out of the Thirst Lounge as they're looking for a new host after one of the Thirst Lounge 10, Kat, we barely got to know you, Valdez, has decided to leave the team for personal reasons. This is really going to open the door for someone else to go to the Virgin Islands, join the existing Thirst Lounge 10 members, and hopefully win a bunch of money playing poker on Party Poker. Having said that, since the other people have been over there grinding away and building relationships, I think you want to make sure that this person you throw into the mix is going to have chemistry with them. So I asked the Thirst Lounge crew, I reached out to them and said, do you have anybody in mind on who you would like to see as your next host?
Colin Capone.
Colin Capone.
Colin Capone. Colin Capone.
Colin Capone.
Yeah, Colin Capone.
Colin Cap 1.
Wow, guys, I am blown away. I appreciate the support and all the love. I got a wife, 3 kids, a job, and a house I got to look after, so I don't think I can make it work. If you guys ever need a break, I can remotely do that. Oh, and Drew, Cap 1? Really?